In this session, we will be showing you how to record new music in Cynthia so that it can be used in the future as an ordinary Cynthia song for any congregational singing that the music minister wishes. In order to begin the recording process, of course, we need to bring up Cynthia, and so we will do that first. And you'll notice when Cynthia first comes up, that it comes up with a companion program called Vid2. Now, Vid2 runs at the same time as Cynthia does, and what Vid2 does is to provide the interface or the communications between the PC computer and the outside MIDI world, so that using Vid2, which is a wonderful program, we can then record keystrokes from a MIDI keyboard, such as an organ or a piano, and then store that into Cynthia. And also, this is what is also used to play music onto a MIDI organ or piano. But what is important, though, is that this program be set up to be used with Cynthia. And so we need to make sure that when it comes up, we may have to go to the options screen. If we see the screen is blank, that means there's no interface, no communications going on. So if we go to the options screen, MIDI devices, we'll see the MIDI input and MIDI outputs that's defined for this PC. In this case here, we will want to be able to play music, so we'll need to make sure we highlight the MIDI output. Now, if we want the Cynthia music to be heard on the PC, and to use the PC's external sound system, then we need to make sure we highlight the Microsoft wavetable. And so then these are, whenever MIDI music is played, the output or the sound events will go to both of these ports. Also, since we want to record music, we would need to make sure that we highlight the MIDI input port so that when we press a key on our keyboard or on the piano or organ, it will then be sent to the PC for processing and storage. So we need to make sure we set Vid2 input parameters before we begin. When we're finished, we hit the OK. We'll notice that on the screen we have MIDI input and MIDI output ports have been opened. And so now we will go ahead and just minimize this so we don't need this on our screen anymore. But it is actually still running in the background process. So now we're to the main Cynthia screen. And on the main Cynthia screen, we can see that we have a recorded button. And so this is what we'll press to begin our process of recording. And what comes up then is the recording screen. And we see this right here. The recording screen has three major areas. It has the raw recording and playback area, which we'll discuss. It has the edit record music, where we'll edit the input of recorded music into Cynthia compatible songs, and we'll save it, etc. And it also has a recorded MIDI event panel, which is used for monitoring and also for some advanced MIDI capabilities for those people who may want to do that kind of thing. And we'll show you all this as we go along. The first panel is the recording panel. Cynthia allows for up to 20 recording sessions. In other words, a music artist, an organist, or a pianist could play up to 20 different songs and store it in Cynthia for later editing. These songs are the source of the editing notes used down here. And so we start a recording session by hitting the start button, and this will change to a stop button once we start, and then we can hit it to stop the recording. And then we can play back what we've recorded over here. So, and we select the recording where we want to store the music, or we want to play the music back from. Okay. As far as the source of the MIDI information, we can go either MIDI, in this case here Vid2 or the keyboard. I'll leave it at Vid2 because the MIDI events are coming in through Vid2. And the voice, when we play back, we can have different voices to hear it. I'll leave this at the piano at this point, and we'll demonstrate this in a moment. Now, Cynthia's music is arranged into three different sections of parts. And that, because of the way it's arranged, this allows Cynthia to be played back in congregational environments where we have an introduction and we have multiple verses, and perhaps they may have choruses, and we always have an ending. And the way Cynthia music works is the introduction is always played. The verses are played based upon numbers of verses specified by the music minister to play. And then the choruses are played correspondingly with the verses, except at the end of a song, the ending section or segment replaces the last chorus. If there is no chorus saved, then the ending segment replaces the last verse. So if you have a song with an introduction, a verse, and just an ending, and you want to play two verses, then you would play the introduction, the verse, and then the ending verse. That's how Cynthia works. Okay, so let's start with recording. I will record a simple little song that will have 6 notes going up the scale, and that will be the introduction. And then they'll have a string of notes going up scale, that'll be the verse, a string of notes going down scale, that'll be the chorus, and then 6 notes going down, and that'll be the ending. We will use that as our demonstration. So let's go ahead and start with the recording. It'll go in recording area number 1. So now we're just waiting to record. Turn on my keyboard, and I'm going to do this basic song that I just mentioned. Introduction, verse, chorus, ending. So that's the song that we've recorded. And now if we wanted to hear that song, we could just hear it back. There's the introduction, verse, chorus, and ending. Now, if we wanted to hear this in a different voice, let's say we wanted to play it back as an organ, we could do that as well, just by changing our thing. So this is how we record music. And again, up to 20 different recordings that we could have. And the organist or pianist needs to know ahead of time how to play this so that it can be then broken into its parts and pieces later. Okay, so the next section then is to break this up edit this into a Cynthia song. And so whatever recording we've selected up here is the source of the music that will be used for editing. And we can cut it into the different pieces by using mostly the edit play button. The reset button will clear stuff, and we'll start with it. Okay, let's get the introduction first. Oh, so we hit the edit play. Okay, there was the introduction. Now, if we want to do the verse, we go over to the verse, and the verse now, this up here will pick up where the ending left off in the previous section. So let's go ahead and edit again. Okay, there's the verse. We'll do the same thing with the chorus. There's the chorus, and now here is the ending. Okay, so now we have edited our song into the 4 different sections or pieces. And if we wanted to see what this sounds like, the song would sound like if we were to play it on Cynthia, the play song screen comes up. We've chosen the organ voice. And I'm going to increase the volume here so we can hear it a little bit better. And let's go ahead and we will try with 2 verses so you can hear the way it sounds. There's the introduction. Okay. There's the verse. There's the chorus. Okay. There's the second verse. And there's the ending. Okay. So this shows an example of how the song was edited and when it plays back. Then when we're finished, we need to be able to save this song in whatever music book that we choose. So we hit the Save Song button. And now it's telling me up here where it's going to save it. Right now it shows it's going to save it in the Super Catholic. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this in the service book. And I need to give it a title. And I'm going to put test. Test 2. And Cynthia's song name, this is what the name we would oftentimes look it up for. I'm going to put test 2. And we'll save this. So now the song is saved. Then it's asked me a question. To save this in this particular book, yes or no? I guess yes we do. A new song file saved in so-and-so in this book. That's okay. And so now what we have done is we have recorded a song, we have edited it and tested it and played it. And now this is an ordinary song that we have available for playing in the church service. You notice one last thing in this panel over here under the recorded song MIDI events. We can see whenever there's a MIDI event that's happening, it's recorded over here. We can see it. For example, the first event was a note turning on. The second event was a note turning off, and there's a time in between them. And so these are all the MIDI events. If we wanted to, we could highlight them. Let's say we wanted to take out the first 2 notes. We could go ahead and we could remove that first note, then we could remove the next note. So we have a certain amount of ability to actually edit and modify the raw MIDI data. This is really for advanced MIDI users. We could also change the event values if we wanted to, duration or whatever. You have to know the MIDI hexadecimal coding to do that. But it is there. You can remove an event, replace an event, insert an event, or append an event. And this would come in handy, for example, if you recorded some music and the instrument would send an extraneous control in there that's not compatible with MIDI 0, because Cynthia is only MIDI 0 compatible, then you can find that particular event and remove it, for example. So, all right, one last thing I'd like to do is to go ahead and just play that song that we just recorded. And we'll just do that in the normal way. So I got the Get Song screen, look at the service book, and go down to where there's test. Here's test 2 right here, the one we just created. And I'll set it up for a flute and select that, and we'll play it for 2 verses. There's verse 1. There's the chorus 1. There's verse 2. And there's the ending. Works perfect. I hope you learn something from this, and that you'll be blessed by it if and when you ever get to a place where you want to record your own music.